Welcome, everybody. You're back again to another episode of the Just Go Watch podcast. Today, we are going to be reviewing the new Hugh Grant film. How does Hatch say it? I think Hatch says it wrong. Heretic.
I don't need
absolute
I don't
fucking dog shit.
I do not need to see it to know it's dog shit.
Hello, everybody. You're back with your boy Deej. You're thinking to yourself, hey, why is Deej doing the intro? That can only mean one thing. That sniveling, worthless coward of a man, Hatchling, is not here. But also, perhaps for the first time ever, neither is MP. And so that can only mean one thing. That the fourth member, the D'Artagnan to our three musketeers, is back with us. Sweets is here. What's going on, my boy?
Yes, boy. I'm back.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
back.
back.
Crawling
Yeah,
out the woodwork. Phone me up, you know. I was saying the other day, like, that when you called me and was like, what are you doing this weekend? Because, two men down on the pod. I was like, well, I've got that kidney transplant that I've been waiting for several long, painful years. But I cancelled that. I'll wait. I'm willing to wait a few more years if I make it that long, because I know MP has struggled getting cine film and Hatch just hates the pod. So I'm here, man.
There you go. If only other people shared that level of dedication to put their health on the line, but they don't. And so we can only say thank you, Sweets, for picking up the mantle and just and being someone that we can truly rely upon. And I think we all know it can't be long until Hatch does the right thing, retires, and you take his place on a full-time basis.
This might be the start.
This could be it. This is good. I may not even wait. I may just kick Hatch from the WhatsApp group and just act like he never had anything to do with it. See if I can use some AI tool to like superimpose your voice on his throughout the 4 seasons and just act like he was never a part of the pod.
I know. Retrospectively, add me to the pod. I'm. You know what? I'm willing to re-record them all by myself in a booth just to help you guys out. That's my level of commitment.
I appreciate it. That's more commitment in one sentence than Julesy and Hatch showed the entirety of their run. So here we are. Today we're gonna be doing I can't even think how to say the word properly now. Heretic.
I would say heretic.
I don't know. Hatch hates the way I say it, and now I've forgotten how I say it, so I don't know. Heretic. It starring Hugh Grant, directed by Scott Beck and Brian Wood. So it's a two-headed monster. But if you actually look on Wikipedia, they come up as one person. So I don't know if they're like a human centipede or something. But but they co-wrote A Quiet Place. So that's good stock.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's a good film.
Yeah.
But they're the same. They only direct together.
I don't know. Apparently so. I mean, literally, you click on them and they don't have separate Wikipedia pages. They have one page. So
like one of those married couples who have one email address or one Facebook account or something.
Yeah. Or like the Wachowski brothers or sisters or whatever they are now. Don't they have like one page or something? I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway. So this film, 111 minutes. I don't think has been released in the United States yet. So I will say to any American listeners, obviously, if you've been with us a while, we've got spoilers in this. I don't think it comes out till next week, which is why MP's not with us, because he wasn't able to see it yet. So just a fair warning there.
Oh, you've muted yourself.
Fuck sake. One sec. It switched my audio over to something else. I don't know. Listen. It ain't easy to be a podcast. I'm moving to a new house soon. I'm gonna get a full proper pod set up instead of sitting here in my bedroom on my bed. This shit. Well, anyone, if you're out there and you're a podcast company or a microphone company or anyone that does anything like that, and you want to shout out on the pod, send me some microphone that's better than this one I've got. Anyway,
bring the sponsorship.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So before I go much further, I'm going to click on this little button here, and because listen, like and subscribe this shit if you're watching on YouTube. Let me see. Hatch did this. Let me see this graphic. What's it do? Oh, that's tasty, isn't it? Yeah. So give us a little like and subscribe. You know, it's why not? Why not like and subscribe this pod? Because it's the best thing going when it comes to movie pods, in my opinion. I may be biased, but you know, at the end of the day, oh, what have I done there? Oh, God, I'm fucking there we go. But I don't normally handle this behind the scenes shit. Anyway, so yeah, give us a like and subscribe. Hit us up on Twitter. Just go watch podcast. No, just go watch pod. And on Instagram, we love a bit of interaction. Well, I do on Twitter anyway. I have a lot of interaction with people. Fuck knows what Hatch and MP do on Instagram. I have no idea. All I do know is MP puts up astonishingly blurry images, and Hatch puts basically no effort in. So that's what's going on there. But anyway, so yeah, you can hit us up. Let's now we've done that though. Now we've done the boring stuff. Let's get into the film. Let's get into it.
Let's.
So let me give you just a brief. Let me show Hatch how this plot summation stuff is done. Right. Let me take you how a pro does it. All right. We start the film with our two Mormon missionaries on their mission to convert people to the Latter-day Saints, the Church of Jesus Christ and Latter-day Saints, or whatever they're called. They're going around trying to convert people. People are thinking they're weird, probably because they are a little bit. And ultimately, they stumble upon this house. They knock on the door. Hugh Grant answers, invites them in. What then transpires is Hugh Grant tormenting them through his own religious, his own religious journey, eventually to try and show the point that there is no such thing as the right religion. The only religion is control. However, in a fittingly judicial, I don't know, whatever the word I'm looking for is, it's a fucking bit of summary justice. He gets stabbed in the neck, which is lovely to see. He dies, and one of our heroines survives. That's basically the plot. That's kind of the plot. I don't want to go through a big long winding one like Hatchy does.
No, you don't want to give too much away because we'll get into the meat of it. You know.
No, I don't want to be like. I don't want to. Can you imagine? I don't want to be like. And then Hugh Grant. The character takes them into this room where he begins to pose them existential questions about religion, taking them through Christianity, Islam, Judaism, and the similarities between them, juxtaposing the blah 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 blah. Like bore off, Hat.
It's an hospital room which has, as you would guess, 8 walls. Yes.
The dimensions measured exactly.
Used mahogany and oak as the beams across the ceiling.
One could tell the air in the room was slightly just fuck off, Hatch. No one cares, mate. No one cares.
I like Hatch bashing.
Yeah. Considering how much he loves kids, he's rubbish at telling bedtime stories.
He does love those kids.
Right. And so, Sweets, tell me, before my microphone cuts out and no one can hear me again, tell me what you thought about the film and what was your rating?
Yeah, so right. I had some issues with this, which I will go into later. But what I want to point out that very good performances. Hugh Grant, initially I thought it's just Hugh Grant playing Hugh Grant. But as the movie goes on, you think, no, this is actually a pretty good performance from Hugh Grant. Like I get some of, the bumbling prime minister from Love Actually, etc. in the early stages, but as it goes on, you think that is the character. That's, he's drawn them into that false sense of security, etc. So yeah, good performances from the two missionaries as well. What are their names? Sister Barnes, Sister Paxton, something like that. But yeah, so my issues with this is the film lacks, like, the plot is okay. There is a huge amount of dialogue, which Hugh Grant helps, I think, because he's very good with his dialogue. But this film is literally held together by the performances of those three people, which is fine. But for what's being, originally when I thought this was going to be some sort of horror film, I wouldn't say it's a horror. I would say it's a psychological thriller. And once I kind of switched my mentality to that idea, then I probably enjoyed it a bit more. But the scares weren't there, etc. And by the end of it, I was just convinced that what Hugh Grant and his character, Mr. Reed, what Mr. Reed has built is is a very like mediocre escape room or something in the middle of nowhere. But to be honest, at the end of it, I felt like I enjoyed that. You know, I wasn't looking at the time. I wasn't falling asleep. I went to see it. So I was really tired, but I wasn't falling asleep. I was interested in it. I wanted to know the outcome. I didn't mind the huge amounts of dialogue. I thought it was quite interesting. But yeah, very much a film that's held together by good performances rather than the actual plot and the storytelling. For me, average film held up by performances. I give it a 6 out of 10. There might be some movement in that, but that would have been a 5 if possibly even lower if if Hugh Grant wasn't good in it, and the two young missionary, the Barnes and Paxton, if they didn't hold up their end of the deal with more good performances as well. So yeah, 6 out of 10 for me.
I think you said a lot of things that I would echo there. I mean, Hugh Grant, yeah, he's excellent. He's really excellent in that. I think he's got that standard kind of Hugh Grant thing, that charming British, you know, kind of like affable, inviting thing, and then he just becomes like I think what's creepy about him in this is he never changes that, but the subject matter and what he's doing is kind of, you know, it's a bit like a, you know, in Smile or something, where, you know, what you're seeing is someone smiling, but it's creepy because of what's behind it. So I felt like that with him really worked. So he was good. The two female leads were excellent. You know, I think they were really good. Both very believable. The sense of kind of the palpable sense of fear and tension, again, really good. The overall kind of, the plot of it is a bit difficult because it's really interesting, the whole kind of religious discourse part, and I'll say more on that later. But I suppose I'm also left a little bit kind of unsure about what his overall motive or his motivation is, and what he's planning to do. And he's got these women in these cages, but like, what's he doing? I mean, is he ultimately just a complete, like, a psychopath killer? Because he doesn't come across necessarily like a psychopath. So I don't know. But I mean, I did enjoy it, and I thought it was a well-made film. It was really, you know, well shot, good cinematography in it. I liked, you know, there was a real sense of kind of unease with some of the way the camera work was carried out. So well-made film. I'd say, I was thinking this earlier, I don't know. Originally, I thought maybe a 7, but then I thought, actually, I'm not sure there's enough explanation in it. So I'll say a 6.5, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, 6.5. So I'm in the same ballpark as you.
Yeah, I can see. I know what you mean. I can see why you've gone 6.5. I think ultimately, just by the end of it, I just thought, was there a huge amount of storytelling? Like I say, there's a huge amount of dialogue, but what do we know about it? Like, and like you said, I didn't really know why he was doing it. And I enjoyed the confusion sank in.
Yeah, like, I mean, so what? I mean, he was trying to get her down there to come to this realization, and also it's a bit like suddenly, like, she's become like a genius level problem solver. Like, she's like exactly what it is he's trying to show. You know what I mean? Like, she goes from being this like terrified, can't get a thought together, to all of a sudden she's like, oh well, this is going. She becomes fucking like, I don't know, Sherlock Holmes all of a sudden, knowing exactly what's going on.
Yeah, all it takes is a friend to get brutally murdered, sort of thing. Like, and then she's away.
Solidify her thoughts. Yeah. I don't know. So I mean, I don't know. But I mean, what's his point? To like get her down there. She has the realization about, you know, control is the ultimate religion, etc. But then what? What's his point? And then what? Then I put you in a cage.
Yeah.
But to what end? To what end? Like what? I don't know. And again, it's all a bit like I don't know, quite excessive. It's like no one's ever noticed these women are missing, and no one, you know, how's he got these underground caves and stuff? Where did they come from? And I don't know, like, it's a bit, I don't know.
Well, yeah, I think so. I know nothing about this guy's backstory. What I've kind of pieced together myself from it is that he was maybe some sort of like teacher, like a religious teacher in like a university, something like that, which is why he knows about all of these different religions. And as he's kind of learning about these religions, teaching other people about these religions, he's just become like, I don't know, kind of obsessed by them all, and also kind of realizes that you know, these are all crap, or in his mind that religion is just complete crap, and he becomes almost like switches his mindset, and now he's against religion, and he just goes on some sort of mission to kill religious people. But the only thing I've got from that is, again, in my mind, he's contacted the Church of Latter-day Saints because he wants to know more about being a Mormon, and he's lured them to his house for this reason, this specific reason. And I would assume that is what has happened with the other disciples. But I mean, Mormons don't usually send women to do that. It's normally down to the men, I believe. Anyway, not that I've ever had a visit from Mormons trying to convert me or anything, but I had to make all that up myself. I had to kind of assume that is the case. To have understanding.
You're right. You're writing the story. You're writing the story to fill in the blanks. Yeah.
But again, because there's so much dialogue and I'm picking these things up as I go, it's almost like they want me to write the movie, the history of his character for them, say, or the audience to write it for him. And I just couldn't make head or tail of, like you say, his motive behind it. Why is he doing this? I just couldn't.
Yeah. Because it's almost like it's a study in a character study of these three people, kind of, and like as far as that goes, it's really good. But in terms of taking us deeper into why things are happening, you're kind of like, what is the, I don't know, and what's the overall purpose of the film? Like, I guess you're right. You know, he's a teacher of some kind who's become disillusioned with religion. But then why does that make? It's like it's made him a complete psychopath, though. Like, where does you? I feel like you need to know more about him in order for the film to have more to it, because he's interesting. I mean, he's the most interesting part of the film. But why is he doing what he's doing? Like, what's the purpose of it if he's not just a psychopath? But kind of, you get the impression that there's more to it, that he's really thought about this. And
he has. I mean, it's all planned, isn't it? Like he's dug down into that basement to make that the room where they walk down the stairs, where they have to go through disbelief and the belief, the two doors. They have to pick one, but both doors lead to the same place, and he's dug that out. And then he's also dug out this, like, the second part of that basement, which we find out later on, which is where, you know, that's a key part of him trying to get them to believe they've witnessed the resurrection. So it's all planned, it's all premeditated. Again, that's how I view it, but I just don't know why. And I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know how. Like, how has he excavated this? Like, one thing saying it, like he's dug down into these tunnels. How has he built these fucking things? Do you know what I mean? Like was he had a building company there? No one's ever thought, what the fuck's going on with this? Like, that's a bit weird, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like, and then like you said, the resurrection part. Like, what? I just don't really get the purpose. What was the purpose of slitting that girl's throat and then digging out her contraception and saying, you know, oh, it's this, it's that, and then her going, oh well, because the other woman said something that she wasn't meant to say, and I think it wasn't on the script. I was like, firstly, that's ridiculous. You'd never fucking have pieced those two things together. And then I'm like, and then what was he gonna do? What if she went, oh my god, maybe we are in a simulation? Then what was he gonna do? Like, wasn't his whole purpose to get her to go downstairs? I couldn't really. A lot of it required her to be really, really clever. For her to ever get down there in the first place. And I'm just like kind of lost as to what he was really, really trying to do. So it was really interesting as a character study, really good acting. But I think we're just going to keep coming back to this point that you're like, kind of like, what was he doing? What was his? Did he always have this plan that she would get there? Because I mean, that's what she says at the end, isn't it? Is that it was never my choice. I'm where you wanted me to be, etc. But it really seems like it depended on her, like, being able to put all these bits and pieces together.
Yeah. So I mean, he cuts Barnes' throat and he kills her, And you can see from like their initial interactions when he invites them in, you know, they say, oh, he says, my wife is here to get them to come in, the blueberry pie, the candle, etc. You can see through all of those interactions that he can tell that Sister Barnes is probably a bit more skeptical about belief in God. And we do find out that she wasn't born into the church. She was brought in later in life. So, and every now and again, she says something and he'll look at her. And then you think, all right, he's kind of figuring out she maybe doesn't believe 100%. But if his belief is the one true religion is control, and that's what we find out at the end when Sister Paxton does the little kind of mediocre escape room and figures that out, then why would he kill Sister Barnes, the skeptic, and leave the believer to go through it? Wouldn't you rather, if you believe the one true religion is control, wouldn't you rather the person who's a bit skeptical have to go through that process so you can say, well, you're a skeptic, but I still had complete control over you using your own faith, etc.? Why would you kill the person who doesn't really, who you doubt believes in God, rather than the one who's likely to do more things because you say, oh, God says it's going to be a resurrection and stuff like that? I didn't understand that bit. I thought she would have been the main person to go through it, and at the end, you know, in hindsight, figure out that maybe, oh crap, like he's had complete control of me all this time.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what the purpose of killing Barnes was in general. Like, it seemed like that was a plot point to further the other one's understanding of what was going on. But again, I keep saying it, but I don't think she would have come to that. I don't really get how she got all of that realization and all. Like I say, all of a sudden she knew everything, and it just seemed to me a bit like, I don't know. There's a lot of plotting here rather than.
There was a huge jump. There was a huge jump where all of a sudden she said, along the lines of, I think I know what you've done, but I don't know how. And then all of a sudden she just says, oh, you must have switched the bodies. And he's like, oh. And then like, do tell me more. And she's like, well, there must be another way in I haven't seen. And he's like, oh, hang on a sec. And she lifts up the table and all the water drains away and she's found this hidden door within seconds. And like you say, before that, she was like, not bumbling, but she was the naive, God-fearing Mormon missionary. And then all of a sudden, her friend dies and she turns into Sherlock Holmes, the greatest detective that's ever lived.
And what, like, I mean, one of the biggest things that I thought was, I suppose, I don't want to say sucked me out of it, but it made me think, done that thing where I'm like, people would not do that. Is why did they keep going further into his fucking game? God. Well, like, why would you do that? Like, why, when they're in that room with those two doors, why would they not just pick up the letter opener and say, fucking, you know, let's attack him, let's do any number of things. What we're not going to do is go downstairs into some fucking basement that we've got no idea, can't even see down there. Why on earth would you do that? Because if they'd have stayed up there, that missionary guy was going to come around pretty soon, and it would have all been all right. Like, I just don't know what. Like, and then she does, and then having done that mistake of gone down those stairs and been in the kind of dungeon area, she then compounds her mistake by going, oh yeah, look, I found this trapdoor in the floor. Let me see what's down there. Like, you're just getting further and further away from ever being able to escape. Like, why are you doing these things? You know what I mean? Like, what is she doing? I don't know. Like, and why when she slit your friend's throat, did you not slit his throat because you've got the letter opener? It's just like loads of decisions that were being made that I appreciate. It's easy to say what you do in those situations, but I do feel like one of the things I wouldn't do is take myself further and further into the realms of no escape. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, you the door, you're like, the first time she opened the door, you didn't see what was down it. She opens the door, you see her reaction at Barnes. And then she opens the other door and it's identical. It's just a black staircase that goes down. And although he says you've got to go doon to get out, when he's describing it, in no fucking scenario, if I'm confronted with that as a scenario, am I going to go down the pitch black staircase, which clearly just goes down into some sort of lightless basement, which I can't see how there's going to be an exit down there, dark and dank. I'm not going to go down there to try and get out. Like, I'm going to stand in the well-lit room, whether I'm trapped in there or not. He said the bolt will open in the morning. all right, well, there's two of us. I've got this knife. You come near me, I'm gonna fucking chop your bollocks off.
Yeah. And like, I assume that is actually his house, right? So I was like thinking to myself, right, rather than go down this fucking dark corridor, I can't see what's going on. Is there a kitchen around here? Is there an actual there's an upstairs bit? Is there fucking some kind of weapons we can get? Is there like windows we can try and smash? Is there like some things? I mean, I appreciate it's weird because in real life you don't actually think someone's a serial killer, so you're not necessarily going to behave a certain way. But I just feel like if I was ever a serial killer and I was looking for victims, it'd be the kind of people that would just consistently go further and further into the traps I've laid for them willingly. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what they were thinking.
They weren't thinking. I mean, you look around that room they're in before they go through disbelief or belief, wherever it was, and there are like candlestick holders. They're pretty heavy. They could do a bit of damage. There are lots of heavy leather-bound books. You could do some damage to someone's head with the spine of one of those bad boys. They had the letter opener, knife. There's loads of stuff. Like, you can't see any other weapons there. Yeah, just throw a fucking fuckload of books at him or something, run at him, stab him up, and then wait until morning till the door opens.
Yeah, just try something is all I'm saying. Like, don't, if you're thinking we're gonna die, then at least die on your kind of your own terms, as opposed to like going further and further into a trap where like you're like, I mean, what the fuck? It can't be. All I know is it can't be worse. It can't be any better in that basement. You know what I mean? So
No,
I'm gonna stay where we are and think to myself, well, look, there's some 60-year-old bloke here. We might have a chance against him. Do you know what I mean? We might have a chance. So I don't know. Although having said that, one of the things I was conscious of when I was watching it was I wonder if it's a really different experience watching it as a female than as a bloke, because from my perspective, I was thinking if I was in that room with him, I'd just beat Hugh Grant to death. That'd be the answer. He'd be like saying all this shit, and I'd be like, right, I've had enough of that, Hugh, and I'd just walk over to him, I would manhandle him, and I would beat him to death, and that would be the end of Hugh Grant, right? But I spoke to my missus after, and she was like saying, like, I started saying, oh, I wonder if it's a different experience for you. And she was saying how, well, kind of like that is how life is for women. They always have to like worry about men and stuff. And I was like, it probably is a different experience thinking of it as a woman, because you probably can relate to the idea of being slightly helpless where there's a man there, So probably maybe it's a completely different film to watch as a woman than as a man. Maybe that's the case with a lot of films, but it really hit me in this one that maybe watching this as a woman is probably different, because a lot of girls have probably felt not that exact fear, but that, it can probably relate to that kind of fear where like there's a man there who is, you can't really do anything against that person. Probably a lot of women can, or the fear of that at least, and probably a lot of women can relate to that. So might be interesting to like hear a woman's take on whether or not they would have gone down. Maybe there's a sense of, well, like, if I just keep doing what he's saying, he'll let us go, kind of thing, whereas we're just like, no, yeah, or not necessarily Stockholm, but just a kind of sense of, well, like, if I just do what he says, he'll let me go, he won't hurt me, blah blah blah. I don't want to make him mad, don't want to make him angry. Whereas we're just like, fuck that, I'm gonna fight this cunt. You know what I mean? Like, yes, it's just maybe a different mind frame. So maybe it'd be interesting to hear. If you're a female listener, tell us DM us your kind of thoughts on what the feelings it made you feel. Maybe I'm just being sexist by saying it would affect you differently. I don't know. You tell us.
Maybe. She kind of Barnes kind of stood up to him though before she went down, didn't she? She had a go at him. She made that comment about, one of the gods, etc., from one of the religions had a freaking bird head.
Yeah.
Bird head. Yeah, so she did kind of stand up to him and have a go, and then again almost backed down and said to Paxton, like, we're gonna go down here because we believe, and what happens to us will be God's kind of God's plan or words to that effect.
Yeah.
So she did kind of stand up to him, and then they left it down to, this God will look after us or not, either way. So there was a little bit of standing up to him, but I think by that point she kind of resigned to the fact they're going down that basement, and there's not going to be anything good.
When I just don't get why.
Yeah, I don't either. But like I say, confronted with that situation, there isn't going to be anything good down there. There's definitely not going to be an exit after he's
No.
held you captive.
This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. Like once he's done this to you, there is nothing he can do but kill you. He's not going to let you go. He can't let you go at this point, can he? So now you've got to try and fight him. That's as simple as that. Like I'm not saying it's easy for them, but they've got to do something other than what they did. Like what they did, the worst survival instinct I've ever seen in my life.
We will just capitulate. We'll go down here, and hopefully you'll honor your word that there is an exit, and we will see you very shortly. No.
There's just so many things I think that they could have. I mean, run back into that front room. Go into that front room where there's like fucking things that you can use.
Yeah.
There's be by the. I don't know. There's just make it more difficult for him to kill you. Just do something. Don't just go down into a dungeon. I don't know. Just dreadful decision making.
As always.
Yeah. But I mean, listen. If you're a Mormon that believes in that, maybe you believe in that the guy will let you go because you will apparently believe anything. One thing I did like about this film is the challenging of the religious stuff, because I feel like religious people tend to just, well, it's in the Bible, it's in the Quran, it's in the this, it's in the that. Whereas this film kind of like points out the kind of like ridiculousness of the fact that like you believe in this one religion when there's all these other religions that are basically the same, and all those religions are based off of other old historical stories, and this overall thing of it's just a system of control. I think it was a kind of like, it's quite brave actually, for probably why it's not maybe one of the big Hollywood studios, because a lot of them don't like to, I think, like they don't mind doing like kind of like possession films and stuff, because essentially that fits in with Christian mythology. But actually saying, look, all of this religious stuff is nonsense, it's quite a brave stance for Hollywood to take. Well, not Hollywood, but this company to take. So I quite enjoyed that part.
Yeah, I agree. I was going to say very brave, maybe not so brave anymore. People are focused on other things at the moment, aren't they? But bold move, but I liked it, and I liked the way he explained, this religion started with, this person. He's basically telling the same story but saying several different religions follow it, and he goes on to say iterations of the same story.
Which is so true. And like it's like it just ignored, like in religion, that like literally there's like you can trace back the stories of your religion back to things from thousands of years before it, and then I'll tell you what was interesting is when I was talking to my missus on the way home. She was like kind of wanting there to be when he was talking about the true religion, kind of hoping that maybe there was like he was going to have discovered that the true religion was like an old ancient pagan or whatever, going way back religion, and there was one true thing, and it was going to have this kind of spiritual element to it. And then when it kind of didn't at the end, she was almost a bit deflated. And I thought it's actually, I mean, I've no idea if the filmmakers meant this, but I thought that was actually quite clever if that is what they were going for, because the fact that you've got the audience kind of hearing you talk about the one true religion and etc., and seeing these as she's walking through the bit downstairs, she's seeing all the kind of the things of the devil and all of this and stuff, and I'm like actually that's a little bit like the wider society kind of hoping for, people just hoping there's a God, wanting there to be a God, wanting there to be religion and all these things without really having any evidence of it, just hoping it's true. And then the idea that actually there is nothing, like he said, you're just ants on a piece of rock, horny ants on a piece of rock or whatever. that can leave you feeling a bit like, I don't know, a bit downbeat, a bit depressed, a bit like the air sucked out of you. And then when he goes at the end, actually, no. See, all of this, the true religion is just control, which brings you back to this ultimate realization that in real life, that is what religion is. Like anyone who sensibly like examines religion can see that religion is a form of control. That's what it was built. That's what it was contrived for in a time where we didn't have answers to things, and you couldn't control people via great distances in the way we can now through technology, etc. You had to have something to control them by, and religion was the way to do it. That's the way you governed. And Hugh Grant, I feel like the story of this, the whole thing of this, I don't know, this film is almost like a parable for the kind of the society today, where people are like hoping for, they like believe, want religion to be true, even in the face of all the evidence that it's not true. And then the crestfallenness that people feel when they finally come to the conclusion there is no religion kind of mirrors the feeling you have as an audience member coming out of it at the end.
Yeah.
So that was quite deep.
Well, you've gone very deep with that, haven't you?
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
not sure
if they meant it.
if they meant it is that deep.
Yeah. I don't know if they meant it or not, but
it was setting something up. I didn't feel like there was going to be anything spiritual there, just because his outlook on the whole thing from the outset, for me, I just felt like he didn't believe in any religion. He knew about all of them, and hence he was saying, these religions started with exactly the same story, like the same person, the virgin giving birth, blah blah, several different religions. So I never really believed that it was heading that way for a spiritual, like there is one true religion. I always thought it was going to be some sort of not a segue or like a new religion we hadn't heard of, or something really, really ancient. I thought it was going to be something off the cuff, and it was. Like, even when he said to her, and the one true religion is, and she was like, control. I never saw that. Like, I couldn't have guessed that myself. They just seemed to pluck that out of thin air, like in that moment.
100%.
But no, it was definitely building to something, and I didn't know if, like you say, when she's walking around downstairs after she discovers the trap door and the dead bodies down there, she's walking around. There's all that, like the Antichrist, the Satan worshipping stuff, and I didn't know if it was gonna be one true religion is like the devil or something like that, because ultimately everyone's just a fucking shithead sort of thing. I didn't know that's where he was going, but I didn't feel like there was going to be something like a higher being, a spiritual essence or being or anything like that. I just felt like it was kind of negative towards religion, and therefore the answer to the one true religion would be something negative, because that's what he's made it to be.
Yeah,
he doesn't like religion.
Yeah, and that, like, I mean, at one point when she's going through those different rooms, and then there's all the Satan stuff. Like, I mean, I don't really understand what the point of that was, but like, for a minute I thought, is he going to be a Satanist or something? I was like, that was a bit too predictable. And then it just turns out he is literally just a psychopath. But
holding women captive.
Yeah, I don't really know. Like, the whole thing's interesting. I feel like, I don't know. I almost want to see a Netflix documentary about the guy to kind of work out like what his motives were and what he was actually doing.
The real mystery.
I feel like if you made another, I wouldn't mind watching another hour-and-a-half film just about him and how he's done what he's done and why he's doing it, and etc. Because it was like, he was interesting. I just feel like I don't know enough about why he's done what he's done and what he was planning to do and what the purpose of, I mean, why is he keeping all these women there? What, other than, I mean, if he's a psychopath, then he's a psychopath, right? There's no,
he's a psychopath, but I don't get why, like you say about the women. So the first one came down, the one that eats the pie and dies, and then he paints out to be the resurrection, and then we later find out it was just switched. But that the disciple, the woman who switches out the dead body for herself and then apparently goes off script, why would she bother swapping the body out if she's going to go off script? Why wouldn't you just say, when they get in the room, like, knowing you're probably going to die anyway or something like that, in the room, it's like, well, this is just all fucking bullshit. Like, he's a psychopath. There's a trapdoor. He's been holding us all captive for ages.
Why are they going along with it? Like, why are they going along with it? And like, why would she eat the pie? I mean, maybe she ate the pie just because she's like, fuck this, I want to die now or whatever.
Well,
but I don't know why they're going along with it. Why when she's out and she's free with those girls, why does she not say to them? And then at least there's 3 of them to take him on. It doesn't really make much sense.
No, you're going to have a better chance with them knowing and saying, look, like, you need to try and get out of here. We know they've got the letter opener. We know they've got the plan that, she's going to try and, Barnes is going to try and distract him while Paxton stabs him in the neck because he's not watching her. So why not just hedge bets? Like, oh no, I'm going to be a good person. I'll go off script a bit, but otherwise I'm going to stick to the plan because, he might give me an extra, couple of milliliters of water in my bowl later.
Yeah. Yep. And let me ask you this:
Hmm.
if that missionary guy doesn't come, the elder doesn't come to the door, right? Then they never run upstairs to that bit. If they never run upstairs to that bit, there's never any time to do the whole switch with the woman because they'll be in the room. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I feel like there's a bunch of things in this plan that kind of relied on things happening that he couldn't have
coincidence.
foreseen. Yeah, he couldn't have foreseen happening. I don't really get it. And also, you're telling me that she managed to the new woman
Yeah,
managed to come in, get her up, open his fucking trapdoor, get her down without anyone fucking noticing or hearing anything. Like, I don't know, just like that.
and
I
also
just feel
have the strength to do that when your diet is literally water. Like
right,
they're all
right.
emaciated, malnourished. Like,
Right, 100%. I just I feel like what you said at the beginning is right. The film is carried by the performances of the people, which are really, really good, and it covers up for what is ultimately a kind of quite a thin plot that's got a lot of holes in it, and that
yeah,
doesn't ultimately explain too much to you. But it's a really interesting film from a character perspective and from the whole. Yeah, like the religion, the take on religions again, interesting. So an
definitely.
interesting film that could have maybe been. I don't want to say it could have been executed better, but maybe, or maybe make it a bit longer, or I don't know, cut
Yeah,
some. It's hard to know what they could have done.
I don't
They're
know what they could have done. I don't know what they could have done to improve it. Maybe a bit more character expansion around Mr. Reed. Like he had those cups that said hubby. Like, did he ever have a wife? Is she one of
yeah,
these
yeah,
fools? Like maybe a bit more expansion around him. Like
yeah.
not too much so you know his entire life story, but yeah, I other than that, I don't really know what else they could have done with it.
I mean, it was 111 minutes, right? So
Mm,
you probably could have gone to 130 minutes. 2 hours and 10 without
mm.
it being ridiculously long. So maybe like add an extra 20 minutes in there for a bit more kind of like looking at him and why he's doing what he's doing. Just that might have made it a bit better. I don't know. I just felt
Yeah,
I leave
maybe.
a little bit hollow in terms of my understanding of it, which is still interesting. It gives a lot to talk about, but just I would have liked to have known a bit more about him and his motives. But
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But that elder
um,
coming by, I thought there'd be a bit more to that, considering that was do you know who that elder was? The actor.
I did actually. Yeah, it was.
It's
Where do I know him
Topper
from? I know him
Grace.
from. Where do I know him from?
So he was Eddie Brock in Spider-Man 3.
Eddie Brock. That's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
That's it.
this is what it's come to for him. So I saw him on the credits list before, so I thought, oh, okay. And then he never appeared. And then when I saw I didn't even recognize him as the elder. And then I later on, when he came to the door the second time, I recognized him. I thought, oh, it's going to get a bit tasty now. Like, he's going to get involved. And then he just disappeared. And I
think
could not get that.
I think I was thinking about this afterwards, that because you're there going, oh well, he's going to see the bikes, right?
Mm.
Like that he's gone away, and
Yeah.
when he comes back to give him the leaflet, it's because there's something a bit more behind it, and he's going to have seen the bikes or something. And then later on, you find out that the bikes are not there because he went and removed them. Again, that was another ridiculous thing. Like he managed to get out and get the fucking bikes before, but yeah, I think that was the point. I mean, look, yeah, it's just there are plot holes in this film. There are things
Yeah.
that could have made it better. It's I think you hit the nail on the head. It's interesting because of the characters and
Yeah.
but you can't go too deep into it because the story does have holes in it.
Yeah.
It's probably fair.
I don't see where they can go with it more than what they did, if I'm honest, but it needed more. What that was, I don't know. But even the that I forgot the bike lock thing when she's like, oh yeah, and you trusted one of your disciples to put the bike lock on the door. Like, yeah, why would they do that? And he lets them.
Yeah.
He clearly doesn't let them roam freely because they're all
No,
in fucking cages.
no.
So
Imagine giving him that weapon,
yeah,
giving her that fucking big bike
this
lock
bike
weapon, man.
lock.
Like. Fuck that. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, how did they do so many things so quickly? And how did she get back down there? And like, how did I don't know if they showed this, but how did he get this woman, this prophet woman, up the stairs into that room and then back down into the cellar. I don't know how that happened, when that happened.
I don't know.
The
Like
time. So how did he get her back into that cage to then chop her fingers off? I just don't know how logistically this film works.
Well, he didn't.
I mean,
he didn't. So she when she was resurrected, he kind of was like, "Oh, she's been resurrected, and you've seen it, blah blah." And he walks her up those stairs, puts her in that side room, and he shuts the door, and that's it. She's gone. And then the next thing, like, there's a knock on the door, or he goes up the stairs, does he? Because there's a knock on the door, and I see it. But again, he trusts the disciples to walk around freely, put locks on doors, put themselves back in their cages. But then one of them just decides to go off script to try and help these two girls.
No, I just don't get it. I don't get how they got. I don't get how they got back. I don't know. Logistically, I think this film's probably a bit of a mess. But what can you do? But I suppose that's not the point. I mean, to me, this film hit the height when they're in that first room, or the second room even, and he's going through things with them when they're trying to decide which door to go through. That's when it was really at its best, the most uncomfortable, with the music and the kind of conversations they're having. That was when it was at its peak. So a lot to like about the film, a lot to like. Just probably could have been better, but it is hard to say how you could do it. Maybe it's almost the idea was a bit too big, really. I don't know. But yeah, decent film.
Yeah, not bad. I didn't hate it.
No. Changing your rating at all?
No, I think 6 is fair. I think, if this was a cast of randoms, and I don't know the two missionary actors. I can't remember seeing them in anything else, but they were good. And Hugh Grant's obviously a huge star and going through his kind of different phase of his career. He's not doing, the bumbling PMs or the love interests in rom-coms. I thought it was really good. And I think that is, as we discussed, that is what held this film together. Interesting idea. Maybe could have been executed better, but Hugh Grant was very good in his role, and so were the two missionaries. So 6 is fair, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to stay at 6.5 just on the basis of the quality of the performances and the interest I had in the subject matter. But I don't think I can go much higher. But definitely, I would say worth seeing. What do you think it got on Rotten Tomatoes? Now, you can only go for what the critics have got, because
really?
The audience score doesn't exist yet, apparently.
Oh, okay. Do you reckon that's because it hasn't been released in the States yet?
Yeah, I think probably so.
Critics, I think we're going to be in line with critics. I think they're going to be amazed by Hugh Grant's performance, but I think it lacks a bit of substance. I'm going to say, let's go for a sexy 69. Critics.
95.
95.
No. Yeah. The critics are
95.
loving it. Certified fresh as fuck on Rotten Tomatoes. They are loving it. Yeah.
95.
Yeah, they're loving it like Hatchy loves half term.
It is half term at the moment as well, isn't it? Maybe that's why it's not there.
There you go. I know he probably will watch this film, got loads of ideas. This is what I can do.
Needs more kids.
Right, well, 95, yeah, man. I don't know.
That's mental.
Yeah. So there we are. That was Heretic. Next week, Sweets, are you joining us next week, or Hatchy's away again? So
yeah, I don't actually think I am. I might be away celebrating my birthday next week.
In which case, next week, listeners, you will be back with myself, and MP will be returning, and we will be watching. We'll be reviewing Red 1, I believe. Can The Rock do it? Can The Rock bring some joy to Christmas, or will it be another Red Notice garbage? Let's see. So yeah, join us for that. But listen, and until then, and Sweets, I'm gonna ask you this question. Is there, if they haven't seen it, how can they listen to this review and then go and watch it themselves and decide if they agree?
Just go watch.
Yeah, baby.